Hey writers! Alright, I want to talk to you guys today about writer's block. And specifically, I want to split it into really kind of two different categories. The first one is writer's block in the sense of the craft of I just don't know where to go with my book next and I'm getting frustrated and I can't figure out what to do with my story. That is definitely a form of writer's block when you just don't know what to do next. But the other form that I want to talk about is really motivational writer's block of what is keeping you from sitting down at the computer on the difficult days and getting your words written. Because when we set out to write a book, there are always really good days where the inspiration flows and the ideas are everywhere and the writing is just easy and it feels great and we just have a blast and we really feel good about being writers. But everybody, every single writer, you guys, has difficult days too, where we question ourselves and we have a hard time and we can't figure out where the story is going. And it's just easier to scroll social media than to try and hammer out words when it feels like the story's going nowhere at all. So first, let's talk about the craft. And I can actually bust this one out for you guys really quick. My top 3/maybe 4 tips. If you guys just don't know what to do in your story, one of the things that I really love craft-wise is to sit down and list out all the things that would never happen. So if you can't figure out where your character is supposed to go next, start making an exhaustive list of all the things that they wouldn't do, all the places that they definitely wouldn't go. And just try to use this, you guys, to tease your imagination. So if your character is running into a fight scene, but you just don't know what they're gonna pick up, who they're gonna fight, what their role is gonna be in it, start listing out all the things that they're definitely not going to do. Okay, they're not going to go in that corner and take a nap, probably because there's a fight going on. They're probably not going to light the building on fire, or wait, are they? Would that further their cause? Maybe. Maybe not. What else wouldn't they do? They probably wouldn't burst into song, or would they? You can actually have a lot of fun by listing out all the really silly things that they wouldn't do. That can a lot of times jog ideas for what they would do, especially if you guys are writing a comedy. It can actually really jog some good ideas for you guys. And even if you're not writing a comedy, you know what? Sometimes some comedic relief is fun too. My next thing that I recommend, if you guys can't figure out what your character needs to do next, another thing that I've done that is really fun is writing a letter from your character's point of view. You can either write it from the character to another character, you can write it from the character to you, the author, which can be a lot of fun. I had this happen once where I just couldn't figure out how my character was supposed to react to this situation. Basically, it was this guy, his girlfriend disappeared, he thought that he had killed her, 2 years go by and it turns out she's alive. And I couldn't figure out, is he supposed to be overjoyed that she's alive? Or is he gonna be mad as spit that she's been alive for 2 years and left him thinking that he killed her the whole time? I couldn't figure it out. And so I had to just finally sit down and write this huge letter from this character, working through all of his feelings before I was like, yeah, mad as spit, that's the way we're going. And then that ended up being what went into the book. And then you guys, there's 2 more things that I'm gonna recommend, which is if you just really can't figure out what is going on in the story, take a break and work on a different part of the story. A lot of times that's going to jog ideas for the section that you just can't figure out because of your writer's block. And then lastly, if none of those other ones are working, put the book down for a minute and go read something. We always come up with new ideas when we read, especially if we're reading something that we enjoy that's related to, you know, what we're working on. It's not that we're trying to copy the ideas from somebody else, but just sometimes taking a second to be a reader rather than a writer can remind us of why we love books and what we love about story and what we want to see in our own stories as well. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say about overcoming writer's block from a craft perspective. But when we talk about the motivational perspective, this is a way bigger category because we all have different motivation types that fuel us. The things that work to get some of us through the hard days of writing are totally different from some of the things that will get other people through those difficult days. So I want to give you guys a really fun little thought experiment here, which is instead of thinking of the big goals that we have in our life, like writing a book, because there's a ton of different types of motivation that go into that. Let's just bring it back for a second and talk about small things that we do day to day that are not necessarily fun, but that we need to do anyways, right? Because those hard days of writing have to happen. We have to get through those for the book to get done. So let's take a look for a minute at smaller tasks that have to happen in our day to day and how do we get ourselves through those? Specifically, I want to ask you guys, when you have to brush your teeth in the morning, what makes you do that? Where do you find the motivation to brush your teeth every day? And I that that sounds kind of silly, but it's a real question because we don't all look at brushing our teeth the same way. The things that get some of us to brush our teeth in the morning are not the same things that get other people to brush their teeth in the morning. So for some of us, not me actually, but for some people, it's just habit. They could be halfway into a coma and they just have the muscle memory that will drag them out of bed and into the bathroom to brush their teeth. They just say, this is what I do every day. I brush my teeth. It's a habit, and there is literally nothing more to it than that. But there's a totally different type of person out there, which is more like me, where I have never once brushed my teeth in the morning because of habit. I have to look myself in the mirror every morning and go, yeah, there's like 100 other things I would rather be doing right now, but Haley, there are serious consequences if you don't brush your teeth today. A, your teeth are gonna rot, and B, no one's gonna wanna be around you. And so those consequences are actually what drive me to brush my teeth. It's not because I wake up every morning and it's habit. That is not something that has ever or will ever fuel me. But when I look in the mirror and think about real life consequences, I will end up brushing them every single day. And let's talk about what gets people to make their bed in the morning. For some people, they'll just make their bed because they know it's good for them. They know that starting the day by accomplishing something gets them in the right frame of mind. It affects the rest of their day and they're going to accomplish a lot more. They've started the day off on the right foot and they know that. And that is enough for them to want to make their bed every morning. There's other people who will make their bed every morning because they offer themselves a treat afterwards. They say, I can have my morning coffee if I make my bed. And then it's like internal accountability. They have an internal system of rewards that they're going to give themselves, and they just make their bed really quick because they know that that's what they need to do to reward themselves with a cup of coffee. But if you have somebody who's motivated by consequences and you try to tell them to make their bed, well, there are no consequences if you don't make your bed in the morning. So if that's your motivation style, you probably don't have a made bed right now. It would be my guess. Mine isn't. So we just really briefly talked about 4 different styles of motivation, right? With brushing the teeth, there were the people who do it out of habit. There's the people who do it because of the consequences. With making your bed, there's the people who do it because they have an internal reward system. And there's the people who do it just because they know that it's good for them. They know that there are real rewards. So those are 4 really, really short introductions to some of the motivation types that I really want to talk to you guys about. I want to dive way deeper into these because when we talk about big goals, much bigger than brushing our teeth and making our bed in the morning, there's a lot more motivational styles that come into play that you can utilize to get through those difficult days so that you can finally accomplish your big goals. But I have been doing a ton of thinking and putting a ton of work into what these different motivation types are and how they can help you in your writing. So what I really want you guys to do is I've turned this into a quiz for you. So if you guys check out the comments below, I'm gonna have a link down there for the quiz. I would love for you guys to click that link, take the quiz, and see what your specific motivation type is, because I can't take a deep dive into all of them right now. We would be on this video for hours, and I'm quite sure none of you would finish it. But if you guys take that quiz, we're gonna talk all about you and how knowing your specific motivation style can help you to finally get through those hard days and get your book written. And not just written, but written confidently, written well, where you feel good about it by the end because you know what works for you, you know what gets you through the hard days, and you know what's going to get you all the way to the finish line. So I would love for you guys to click that link below and take the quiz, because I have split this into multiple different videos that are going to examine each of the different motivation styles, and you may not necessarily need to watch all of them because I'm willing to bet one of them is really, really gonna resonate with you the most. So take that quiz, see which motivation style best describes you, and see how you can use that to harness your creativity and finally get your book written. Check out the link below, and I will see you in that next video.